Hello there, welcome back. Today, we're going to be making some Captain Crunch chicken, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to show you how to do it. And for your convenience, here's the ingredients.
Are you ready, kids?
I'm just kidding. We're going to be going deep down the rabbit hole for this one. My mom used to make this for me when I was just a wee little enigma, and I instantly fell in love. It seems kind of weird to bread your chicken in Captain Crunch, but you gotta trust me, if you add some hot barbecue sauce to it or something, it makes this sweet and spicy sandwich that's the best thing you've ever had. So enough with the stalling, let's get to it. Like I said previously, we're going to be using Captain Crunch, but we're also going to be using Frosted Flakes. And the reason for that is the Captain Crunch alone is just going to burn and it doesn't make a super great breading material, so we want some filler to help the Captain Crunch along. And Frosted Flakes work pretty darn well for that. Get yourself a nice gallon bag to put your cereal in so that we can break it up and turn it into a breading. Make sure to get the excess air out of there. And now we just need to break it up. You can use a meat mallet, a rolling pin, pretty much anything will do, as long as you get this to kind of a panko consistency. I'm just kidding, we're going to use Rolly Boy for this. Because then, all you need to do is give it a quick roll, and it should help it get into that consistency we want. We want it close to a powder, but not quite. You still want some little chunky bits in there so they can brown up and fry off really nicely. Good enough for me. I'm going to put that on a plate so that it's ready when I go to dredge my chicken. Just go ahead and set that bad boy off to the side. Next, I've got my flour with the cornstarch and spices and salt in it. And all I need to do is whisk all those dry ingredients together to make sure they're pretty well combined. Now, the reason we use cornstarch in our flour is because it helps the chicken get crispier. If you're making fried chicken at home and it's not turning out as crispy as you'd like, try adding cornstarch at all, or about a 40-60, 50-50 ratio cornstarch to flour, and I can promise you, your fried chicken is going to end up crispier and nicer. Get that bad boy on a plate, ready for the dredging station, set it off to the side, and then grab a couple eggs and something to beat them in. Go ahead and give that a little whisk until it's combined thoroughly. You could use a fork or whatever for this. I just like making that little whisk job. Go ahead and put that on a plate. And with their powers combined, we have ourselves a dredging station. Go ahead and grab your chicken tenderloins and something to put your breaded chicken on. Now we're going to be playing a little game of wet hand, dry hand. When you're breading anything, pick a hand that you're fine with getting wet, pick a hand you want to try and keep dry. So when you grab your tenderloin and you put it in the flour and then into your egg and you drop it in your cereal, you can use your dry hand to then bread your chicken. And then you only have one super dirty hand and one kind of dirty hand. And we're just going to do this with all the chicken. Make sure to give it a liberal coating in the flour. And the flour is basically there to help the egg have something to stick to so that when we put it in the Captain Crunch has something to stick to. Make sure to coat every bit of your chicken. We're going to be making a mess here, as we do on this channel. Don't worry about it. Just keep trucking along. You can clean it up when you're done. Look at that big boy. That's going to be a good one. Go ahead and clean up your station, and for the love of the world, sanitize it. There's chicken all over now. But that's it for the prep. I'll see you for the cook. Alright, for this next part, I'm going to be using a saute pan and peanut oil. Now I've only filled the pan up about halfway with oil, and I'm letting it slowly come up to temperature. I'm not going to put it on high or something crazy. I'm going to start it at a medium-low take the temperature a couple times, and then inch its way up. Absolutely, under no circumstances do this if you don't have a thermometer that can tell you the temperature of your oil. You want an oil with a really high flash point or a combustion rate so that you don't overheat it and burn your entire house down. I hope that didn't make this recipe super sketchy to do now, but you really need a candy thermometer or some kind of thermometer that goes up to at least 400 degrees to make sure that your oil is the right temperature to fry and that it's not so hot that it's just going to combust. Now, if something like that ever happens to you, and I hope it never does, do not put water on it. Use flour or salt or something like that. Don't ever, ever, ever throw water on a grease fire. But with all that sketchy warning out of the way, we'll go ahead and cook. The temperature that we want out of our oil is about 365 degrees. This could take a little bit. Just be patient and really careful. And once it says it's at temperature, wait like 3 or 4 minutes and don't mess with it. Double check the temperature, make sure it hasn't gone up from there, and as long as it's stable, you're good to go. And then using some tongy boys, we're just going to go ahead and very carefully add our chicken to the hot oil. I've already taken the temperature, but if you want to make absolutely sure it's ready, just take a little piece and drop it in and see if it starts getting angry. Being careful to lay the chicken away from me, so if it does splatter, it doesn't splatter at me. And we're just going to let these go until they're golden brown and reach an internal temperature of 165. Give them a little flip about halfway through. Another reason I'm only doing a couple at a time is because I don't want to overcrowd the oil and have it drop a bunch of heat and fry all my chicken like poo-poo. Give that oil just a second to come back up to temperature. And in go the next. Give that a little flip. Those last ones took about 4 or 5 minutes if you were curious. And if you're wondering where this recipe came from, I actually asked my mom, and she said her and a work friend of hers were trying to figure out what to do with the extra couple tenderloins out of a pack, and decided the crumbs at the bottom of the cereal bags and all that were a perfect breading to make some fancy kind of breakfast chicken. Go ahead and get those bad boys out of there. I'm genuinely super excited for this. Let the oil come back up to temp, and in go the last. I'm going to have to put 3 in here this time, because I have an odd number of chicken tendies. I feel like it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm using peanut oil. If you have a peanut allergy, you don't have to. Please don't. Please don't. Give those a little flip. Alrighty, we're just about there. The chicken's done. I'm just going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to cover the oil to keep it from popping anywhere or doing anything crazy. And just be mindful that this is around. The oil's going to be hot for a little while, so be careful. But anyway, let's head back over to the cutting board. And while we're waiting for the chicken to cool down, we're going to go ahead and make a sauce for our sandwich. I've gone ahead and toasted some fairly sliced brioche buns to help give it a little texture. And then I'm going to take this Kansas City barbecue sauce and I'm going to add a little bit more heat to it because it's too sweet for my liking. And to add the heat, I'm going to be using ghost pepper wing sauce. You could also just eat the tenderloins and dip them, do whatever you want. I just like having them in a little sandwich. It's a little more convenient for me. I'm just going to take a little bit of that barbecue sauce and a decent amount of this wing sauce. And then I'm going to mix them both up. Oh yeah, it's got some heft to it. All you have to do is take your brioche, pick out your 1 or 2 best tenderloins, take some of that sauce, drizzle it all over the top, and I'm going to put a little bit more on this other slice, and then wham bam, you got yourself a sandwich. Pretty darn good if you ask me. And as I like to say, if it's bad for the heart, it's good for the soul. I'll see you in the next one.